I
am
know.
the longest serving Attorney General in Vermont history, and of the AGs nationally, I'm right now the second longest serving behind the Iowa Attorney General.
Perfect, perfect. This is my internet search and, information, so we're on the right page. What I'd like to know, and I sincerely wonder, is that I know how difficult it is to be elected continuously, and the politics. So you did someone up a little bit, but if it is one thing that you can choose, it made you elected for all this time, that you could make people happy and vote for you for, all these years, what do you think that is?
I think that actually I'm not a great politician, to be honest with you. I think that people don't always agree with you, but I think the average Vermonter thinks that I have not used the office for my own political advancement, and rather that I've taken that oath of office seriously. And so, for example, after the gubernatorial election it's 3 years ago right now, I sued for campaign finance law violations both a Republican Governors Association PAC from the National Republican Governors Association and a PAC from the Democratic Governors Association. So I wasn't playing favorites there. I thought they both violated the law, and I sued them both. And I think that a lot of voters think that I'm a public servant first and a politician second, and I think at least in the enforcement of the laws, many or most of them think that's important.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi. I don't have a question. I have a comment. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for making me feel better about myself today. Thank you for your presentation. And I'm coming to Stowe in March. Can I come visit you?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I lost an ACL at Stowe, though, a few years ago skiing one night. One more question, or I'm going to get to the airport. Oh, yep.
Attorney General, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Today.
Happy to be here.
We are here as the Turkish-American legal professionals, and we're trying to, of course, find ways to, improve ourselves in the U.S. And we very much want to know also, what would you suggest to Turkish legal professionals to be also part of, or one of the members down the road to be part of the office like you're in? And what would you suggest us on that?
I'd first of all say that, of course, it makes sense and you're comfortable spending time with others similarly situated who have similar life stories, are experiencing the same sorts of challenges of assimilation and such. But my suggestion would be, and even though that's more comfortable and reinforcing, is that push yourself a little bit and spend some time volunteering or getting involved in your communities just generally. And I think that will, one, speed the assimilation process, but secondarily, it would also, taking a look at it from a slightly crass political viewpoint, start to your appreciation and your acceptance by the voters or the powers that be and whatever, if you should decide to go into political office, would be accelerated that way or fostered that way. And as far as my office or Attorney General Snyderman's office or whatever, I say to my people, I don't believe that there's a government work standard and then that is a lesser standard than private sector work. I just don't buy that. And so I know that we're not going to have all the bells and whistles that the big business law firms in Vermont, let alone the Wall Street firms and such, have, but that there's no reason why we're not the best law firm in Vermont. And that's the standard that I expect. And when my AAGs go into court, I want the judges to know that we're going to be prepared. We're going to play it straight in terms of what we argue, that it's there if they go look in the law. We're going to be tough. Counsel on the other side is going to be in for a fight, but we're going to do it in an ethical way, and we're not going to cave easily. And it's hugely gratifying for me to run into trial judges, or just like the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court the other day, who said, "You have done such an extraordinary job with that office." I've had a trial judge say, "I tell my clerks, whatever you get from the AG's office, start your research from that. We might not agree wholeheartedly with their interpretations, but they're going to give us the law that is the seminal law we've got to look at to decide this case." That's worth so much for when the judges trust us and they know the caliber work. So what I'd suggest for those who want to work in an AG's office is just study, study, study. Do well, study the ethical side of it too, and apply and come to work ready to do what's right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, food is here. So we'll take 30 minutes for lunch until 1:45. And from what I understand, the delay was because of an NYPD traffic ticket. So if anybody wants to hand out business cards to our caterers, enjoy your lunch. We'll see you back at 1:45. Thank you.
This one. Okay, so anything you need to modify on there, feel free to do.
Okay, then it will be reflected there. Okay.
Yeah, I'll switch it back there.
Okay.
When the panel starts, I'll just put it
Okay,
on.
thank you.
Right.
So you said we will first give this floor to Mr. Sorry.
Professor Benson, yeah, she's right here. She's right here. So I thought I'm just going to talk. Professor Benson, this is on that. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Like it.
You gotta make it proud.
Like it.
I'll let you know in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So just wrap it up in the last 10 minutes and open it for question and answers.
Because I wanted to let her know in her 5 minutes. So there's 2 different hours.
I know.
So we're going to go from what time?
10 till 50 minutes, so it's going to be 40. It's going to be like 2:40. Yeah.
That'll be the end of our session.
That's correct. So by 2:30 you should wrap it up and start the Q&A.
So Lenny, I'm going to give you at about 2:20 Testing, test.
Well, welcome back. Good afternoon again. Hope you enjoy your lunch. If you're still eating, you can continue eating. I don't think our panelists will mind.
Eat.
And their conversation is actually a very good dinner conversation.
Yeah. Eat more.
Immigration is one of my favorite dinner topics. So we'll be talking about, this panel is going to be about immigration from both sides of the pond, from Turkey and here. And it's one of those issues that actually affect almost every Turkish-American citizen at one point in their lives. As our moderator, we got Jeffrey Pitts. And Jeffrey will introduce our panel. And we will be done at 2:40. Thank you. Thanks, Jeffrey. Carry on.
Thanks very much. So welcome back, everybody, from lunch. I hope you had a great lunch. My food was excellent. And I really enjoyed Attorney General Sorrell's speech. I really found him down to earth, but really inspiring. So I really appreciate him being with us. We have a great panel today. Professor Benson and Ahmet's going to be talking about some really interesting issues involving immigration, and Ahmet's going to talk from a global perspective on some Social Security issues. But when I saw the topics that Professor Benson was going to speak about, it reminded me of something. About 2 years ago, in January of 2013, I had a client ask me, "Hey, what do you think about immigration reform this year? Is it going to pass? Are we going to have this comprehensive immigration reform?" And at that time, I was really optimistic about it. You know, we had just came off the elections. President Obama had won again. The Latino vote, I think, really spoke out. I thought the Republican Party was really kind of taking that to heed and really going to work hard. We had the Gang of Eight that was, a bipartisan group of representatives and senators that were really working, I thought, to craft some comprehensive immigration reform. But that never happened. Just last week, another client asked me, "Hey, are we going to have immigration reform again this year?" So, I was trying to think through that and think about what's my response to that now. I'm still hopeful. I'm an optimist. I think it's needed. I think the parties understand that it's needed. But whether we're going to have comprehensive immigration reform or we're going to have a more piecemeal, different types of proposals, I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Professor Benson will comment on that a little bit. But I also started to think about why haven't we had comprehensive immigration reform? If it's been, on the front burner, so to speak, for the past couple of years, why haven't we had it? And one of the things I was thinking through was that it's perhaps the most complex and passionate issue going on in America right now. Immigration, for those of you who don't practice in the area or really don't read a lot about it, it impacts almost every aspect of American life, from the economy to really truly human rights issues. The regulations work with the Department of Labor on protecting U.S. citizens. It works with trying to promote and increase business activity in the United States. Yeah, we read a lot of articles about some of the tech giants, Microsoft, Apple, really wanting to change and reform parts of the business immigration system. There's just so many components, whether we're talking export control, which some of the panelists earlier today talked about, the deemed export control laws. So immigration is so multifaceted. I really believe it goes beyond party lines. It's just such a complex part of component to this country. And then you have obviously the historical aspects of America. Yeah, one of the other speakers this morning talked about Turkey being really the first melting pot. Well, obviously America is as well, and just the historical aspects of immigration, its influences, the passions that go along with that, really I think are behind part of the reason why we haven't had the comprehensive immigration reform in the past 2 years, though. So if I was answering my client's question right now, I would say I'm very hopeful that we will have some comprehensive immigration reform, throughout this next year. With that said, it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Lenny Benson. Professor Benson's been teaching and writing in the field of immigration law since 1994. She's a professor at New York Law School and serves as the director of the New York Law School Safe Passage Project. In the fall of 2012, she became the chair of the Immigration and Nationality Law Committee for the Association of the Bar of the City of New York. In 2011 and 2012, she served as a consultant researcher for the Administrative Conference of the United States. Along with Russell Willer of the Brookings Institute, she prepared a comprehensive report on ways to improve removal adjudication, which resulted in formal adoption of over 38 recommendations of the government. She's a past chair, I believe, of the American Association of Law Schools Immigration Law Section, and past Immigration Committee chair for the ABA section on administrative law and regulatory law. Prior to joining academia, she practiced immigration law as a partner in the international law firm of Brian Cave. She's a native of Arizona, and she earned her law degree at the Arizona State University in 1983. She's been an adjunct professor at Columbia, teaching both immigration law and a seminar on refugee law. Professor Benson is an emeritus trustee of now the American Immigration Council. She's a fellow of the American Bar Foundation. I could go on and on.
But we use up all our time.
Yeah, so I do look at her bio on the site, but it's a real privilege and honor for me to introduce Professor Lenny Benson.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for having me, and I'm going to be really energetic because we just had fabulous food. So what's happening now internally in our bodies is the sugar and the carbohydrates are melting into creating a syndrome that's called the afternoon nap. So how can I wake you up? Well, I can talk about sex and money, and that's really what immigration law boils down to. President Obama in the State of the Nation, the speech about the State of the Union this last week, devoted a couple of hundred words to immigration, but I think even more importantly, he put into the galley, looking over the speech in the Assembly, two young people. Both of them would potentially qualify for what is called the DREAM Act if Congress would act upon this piece of legislation. Esteban is one of those young people. He was brought to the United States when he was 9 from Mexico by his parents, and yes, they unlawfully entered the United States. But his father had been sponsored for permanent residence previously, and the family should have been able to secure a visa for Esteban, but like many well-intentioned people in the United States or outside of it, the technicalities of immigration law meant that Esteban missed his opportunity to immigrate with his father. And maybe through misadvice or malchance or bad lawyering, they were told they had to wait until his father became a citizen who could then sponsor him, which put him into one of the longest queues, the longest lines in immigration waiting. Those of you who are familiar with U.S. immigration law know that sex, family, love, it's our primary mean of immigrating in the United States. We want to reunify families. We say that, we mean that, except that we have a country quota. No country can have more than 7% of the total visas, and actually in reality it works down to about 3% of the total visas. It's not a country quota like the one we had in 1922 that kept many Turkish people from immigrating to the United States because they had not been a big sending stream before. It's just a cap. All nations can compete for visas within our family system, within our employment system, but if you have a country that sends a lot of people, like Mexico, like China, like India, like the Philippines, these queues begin to form because of the numerical cap. So young Esteban was not able to secure permanent residence through his father, even though he had been waiting for more than 9 years. If you want to sponsor, maybe some of you know this already, you immigrated to the United States, perhaps you came here for your education, got an F1 visa, student visa, you got a work visa, you were sponsored for a labor certification, or perhaps you married a U.S. citizen, you became a permanent resident, maybe you became a citizen, now you want to bring your brothers and sisters. And how long is that wait? 10 years? 8 years? 12 years? If you're from the Philippines, some people estimate it's 70 years. Technically, when you read the statute, it looks like it's only 38 years. One of the proposals in Congress is to end that wait for family, for love. So President Obama singled out Esteban and he said, we have to protect the youth of the United States. They are not deserving of this harsh zero tolerance for people who have violated the border laws or overstayed lawful admission and a visa. And so we need to have Congress act on immigration law reform. That's basically what he said. So let me just pause for a minute. Esteban is not just a name or a symbol to me. Esteban lives in Washington Heights. He goes to school at a school that has a very long name, but its nickname is Wheels. It's a special New York City public school that recruits students who have performed well in other schools, who are serious about their academic achievement, and it works in this very small high school setting up in Washington Heights to make sure those kids are on the path to college. So I know Wheels because here at New York Law School, my Safe Passage project, this pro bono project that I run, brings together you in the audience. Nobody's leaving here without giving me their business card. And you don't have to live in the United States, in New York. I'll still want your card. And we partner with students and we go into a community school like Wheels. Last year, the school asked us to talk to 27 high school students. We have secured status for 25 of those young people. We didn't actually help Esteban, but he was interviewed by the news this last week when he came back from Washington, and he said, Esteban, don't you feel great? You have college ahead of you. He's been accepted the school of his choice, an Ivy League, small liberal arts school, and he's done well academically. And he said, yes, but I'm nothing. My family was doing it all the way along. I had their support. You should meet Junior. Junior is one of our clients. He lives with his mother and his 3 teenage brothers in a one-room apartment. She came because her husband was beating her horribly. They crossed the border illegally, and 2 months ago, we were able to get all of the boys permanent resident status. It's tremendous, as you know, to go from living in the shadows to working without papers, to being always in fear of arrest, to be able to have a path to permanent residence. So the existing law, I want to say, does have some mechanisms that work for family members, for loved ones, for children, but Congress really needs to act. So last June, the Senate, after fierce negotiation, the Gang of Eight, as you said, a bipartisan Republican and Democratic carefully negotiated deal, they came onto the Senate Judiciary Committee floor with a 944-page bill. Okay, who's read it? Who's read it twice? Who's read it 3 times? Who's tagged it with words? And yeah, me. Okay, I'm a bit of a nerd. But actually, you can find an online version of the bill that's really helpful because people have used Google Docs to go through every page of that bill and pull you out in links to helpful information. In that bill, the DREAM Act is there. Basically, young people who arrive before the age of 16 and who have completed or are in the process of completing high school or going on to college or serving in the U.S. military, which, by the way, is very hard to do if you're undocumented. They don't, just like they don't want low IQ, they want people with some kind of status. Those young people would have a path to permanent residence. That bill has passed one House of Congress many times over the last 11 years. But each time it's prevented becoming a reality because in the United States we have a bicameral system. We need both the Senate and the House to approve that bill. Yesterday, in the New York Times, the Republican Party released its Principles of Immigration. The House had refused to entertain or even hold hearings on the Senate bill when it was passed over to them. And on